Minneapolis Vikings defensive end Everson Griffen took an interesting shot this week when he called Lions left tackle Greg Robinson lazy. Robinson, of course, will be the man Griffen faces for much of Sunday's game between the Lions, 2-1, and Vikings, 2-1. So why would he say that? We hit on that and more in this week's Beat Writer Breakdown with Arif Hasan, who covers Minnesota for zone coverage. MLive. Everson Griffen caused a bit of a stir in Detroit this week when he said Greg Robinson was lazy. What do you make of this? Playing mind games with a guy who's struggling? Just confident? Much ado about nothing? Arif Hasan: I'm not sure he was doing anything other than being honest. He's a pretty open guy, and though he hasn't been this candid in his assessment of an opponent before, it doesn't seem out of character. That said, I could see it being a mind game of some sort to set up his moves to the outside. He typically sets up a number of outside rushes before spinning inside later in the game, and this could be part of that, though honestly, I think he's just being candid. MLive. Sam Bradford is out, and Case Keenum is in. Keenum tore up Detroit last year and was very good last week too. Is this guy for real? Or do you think his big week was more so a product of an undermanned Bucs defense? Hasan: Keenum has dominated the Buccaneers in every matchup, just like he has the Lions. He's got a passer rating of 102.8 in 2 games against Detroit. I'm not sure it will carry over, but it did against the Buccaneers, in part because of how excellent both Adam Thielen and Stephen Diggs were at adjusting to inaccurate passes. I wouldn't count him out, but I also wouldn't count on him to be predictable in any direction. He was definitely helped by an understaffed Buccaneers defense, but also had great help from his supporting cast. And he likes to take big shots, which leads to a volatile, if fun, playing style. MLive. What do folks up in Minnesota think of Matthew Stafford and the Lions? Detroit swept the series last year, but needed some dramatics to do so. What's the perception up there of what Stafford's been doing? Hasan: I think Minnesotans, like most of the league, underrate Matthew Stafford, while also understanding he's had phenomenal moments. Stafford's reputation here may have escaped the overall reputation of the Lions, but not by much. MLive. How have the Vikings been handling the nearly league-wide protests of Donald Trump? How do you expect them to handle it next week? How have fans reacted? Hasan: They have been fairly mute and middle of the road. There were no kneeling Vikings players last Sunday, and nearly the entire team stood for the anthem with arms interlinked. Fans, for the most part, have reacted like the team has, without much noise, though there are always a few who dislike protest of any sort. Minnesotans who are not regular football fans are a very active group, however, and there was a protest outside of the stadium on Sunday in favor of Colin Kaepernick, just like there has been a protest whenever Washington comes to town. MLive. The Vikings have lost 2 straight in the series and 4 of 6 overall. They break the rut if, Hasan, they can take advantage of Detroit's weakness up the middle with Dalvin Cook. Keenum will test Detroit's talented secondary using his own talented receivers, but that shouldn't be the key to the offense. The defense needs to continue its remarkable run of rarely missing tackles. They're number 1 in the league, per PFF, against this yak-heavy offense. Arif Hasan's prediction: Despite the offense's recent explosive success, the Lions' defense requires a slower-moving game plan centered on a running attack, especially because Keenum is fun but unreliable. Defensively, I have a lot of faith in the Vikings being able to keep things low-scoring, like they did last year. Vikings 20, Lions 17. Arif Hasan covers the Vikings for zone coverage. You can check out his work here and follow him on Twitter at Arif Hasan.